Good, uh, good day. My name is Keith Hall, and I'd like to present my presentation on the environmental impact of utilizing Chilean sea bass as a cuisine. Chilean sea bass is a popular variety of seafood available in seafood markets and restaurants throughout the United States and America, and even around the world. However, it is not actually a sea bass. Chilean sea bass is really the Patagonian toothfish, also known as Disotychus iligonoidus. It is located in the southern and Arctic Oceans and was made popular by a sea merchant named Lee Lance in 1977. And he was a very clever marketing expert who learned how to change the name to Chilean sea bass because he was able to realize that that would be more palatable for the American audience and American restaurant seafood goers. So it gained its popularity over the last 40 years. And even though it's a very ugly fish, though very tasty, a white fish, it has become largely popular and has become a population or type of fish that's been overfished. Um, though it's still available in many restaurants throughout the US and around the world in different markets, it has been deemed in some areas a fish that is endangered and in danger of being extinct in some local areas. So in 1994, the U.S. and Drug Administration accepted the new name of Chilean sea bass, which made it um, marketable throughout the U.S. Um, and because Chilean sea bass and sea bass itself is a popular fish, it was easy for most Americans to accept it and relate to it. Um, so how is it caught? Chilean sea bass is caught using these giant vessels known as longliner factory vessels. They are large ships that can accommodate from 20 to 40 or even more um, of a crew, and they have an amazing, massive capacities. We're talking they can hold hundreds of tons of fish. They're complete production facilities. So from ocean to packaging to taking them to port and distribution, these ships are full factory production vessels, and they use a variety of tactics to capture the fish. Well, the main tactic is the long line rope um, uh, strategy, which these huge long lines of rope in magazines, and the rope is has attached to it hooks, and the hooks they use a variety of squid that the Chilean sea bass or the Patagonian toothfish love to eat. And these automatic baiting machines bait the line. They send it out over hundreds and hundreds of feet, even acres. They drop it in the ocean for maybe even up to 12 hours, and then they pull it back. When they pull it back, it captures the fish, but it also can capture other animals. So it has an impact on the environment. Um, Once the fish is speared and brought on board, it is then processed immediately. It is killed, cleaned, cut, gutted, and filleted into fillets, flash frozen, and packaged, um, ready for distribution when they come back into port. Um, they use a variety of militaristic fish, kind of a warfare type of mentality and tactics. They can use drones, sonar, radar. Um, they use GPS tracking buoys to capture the fish. So the fish have a hard time evading these. It's not ethical. It's not. It's not. It's not moral. And they not only catch the fish, but they also catch other sea life like seabirds and sea turtles. Once the ships reach near their maximum capacity, they are flash frozen and packaged and distributed either by boat or even they can be flown to different places around South America, U.S., and Asian markets. The season can last for 3 months or longer, and it takes time. Well, actually, it can go from several weeks, depending on the size of the vessel, up to 3 months plus. Um, so from ocean to your plate could be anywhere from several weeks. That fish could have been swimming in the ocean to several months, maybe even 3 to 4 months. Um, People in restaurants will order Chilean sea bass because it sounds exotic. It is a delicious and tasty fish. Um, and so it's a great marketing scheme to call it Chilean sea bass, even though that's not its name. And some restaurant chains and chefs have cut back and demanded we don't want to cook it, we don't want to prepare it, sell it because it's not sustainable. And different regulating bodies, in particular Monterey Bay Aquarium, have a certification process. So they certify areas that are sustainable, or markets or fishing areas that are sustainable. And if it's certified, that's great. So you should check to see if your restaurant or market is using sustainable Chilean sea bass. If it isn't, then I wouldn't eat it, and I would demand that they do. Um, there are regulations. There are U.S. regulations and global regulations, but several countries don't follow those. Um, and so the Chilean sea bass population has been devastated in local decimation in certain areas. So these large vessels have a huge impact on the environment. They're huge. They can leak oil, fuel, and they can distribute their waste. Because they're out at sea for so long, we know that happens, and that can affect the environment, the food web, the ecosystem itself. And fuel, petroleum, those things don't break down. The detritivores can't break it down. But also because of overfishing, the populations that eat the Chilean sea bass, like sperm whales, um, don't have enough food, so they have to find another food source. And then because the sperm whale is an apex predator, it has a cascading effect, affecting the populations of all the sea creatures and life underneath it. Also, it takes time to replenish the population. So they say I've read about where it takes up to 10 years for a mature Chilean sea bass to be able to produce eggs. So if we're overfishing, and we're not giving it time to replenish and repopulate, we can have a devastating impact. And they do believe that the population is endangered, and in some areas or in some places, maybe the thought is that it can go extinct. Um, So the long line approach is thought to be environmentally sound and safe, but not every country follows the safety rules. Um, the fish can't get away, and hundreds and thousands of fish, like I said, can be captured by just one vessel. There's also a lot we don't know about the Patagonian fish, how long it lives. Some people estimate it could be, decades or even up to 100 years. And so you could be eating a very old fish. Um, um, we should take more time to study it. We should take more time to offer other options and alternatives, like regular sea bass, black sea bass, striped sea bass, freshwater bass. There are many other options and other types of fish that are plentiful. Plus it's an expensive option, and some people consider it a delicacy, but I believe that we can find alternatives to its production, and that can satisfy the consumer. By properly educating people, we can change this mindset and allow the population of fish to recover. Um, and if we do want to eat it, please eat it in a sustainable way with the proper certifications. Um, it is a popular fish around the world in global markets. So not only the U.S. makes up about half of the market, but Japan and China are in the 2 and 3 position. But they don't always follow the regulations. So it is relatively easy to purchase. It is available in restaurants, and there's kind of a mixed marketing message with it being certified. In some places, it's not certified. Some restaurants have it, some restaurants don't. So this is one of those areas where Americans and people around the world need to get on board on the same page and allow it to rest, like when they did crop rotation. Allow the ground to rest, allow this population to replenish and restore itself, and choose other options. So many chefs have gotten together around the world and said they will not sell and serve Chilean sea bass. They will offer other alternatives, and that's great. That's powerful. So let's get together and do that. But there are some places around the world where they don't follow the rules, like Japan and China and other countries. So this is a problem, and it's a microcosm of a larger problem that we don't know enough. We don't follow. We're not educated enough, and we don't understand what we're doing. And so that's why education is so important in this area and um, around the environment in other areas as well. So this is my presentation on the effect of Chilean sea bass. It is we do have an impact, and let's make good choices. Appreciate your time. Thank you for listening to my presentation.